Sorry folks, my first video got kind of cut off a little bit by accident. But let's talk a bit more, shall we? So my first video talked about how I don't believe we should put nearly as much stock as we put in what people say about us. It's easier said than done. This is just a natural human tendency to put a heck of a lot of stock in what people think about us. I don't care if somebody's 440 or 400. We all have this quality as human beings. If we open ourselves up to anybody truly, the more we do, the more we can expect hurt and sorrow and anger that come about when someone abuses our trust and when our trust is misplaced, the wrong kind of person. It can happen. A lot of things happen that aren't right in this life. Okay, so I'm going to move on to some other related things. So the first truth again is who we are, who we really are as people is a different matter entirely than what people have said about us. I've been told this over and over again, even by some women on Asian dating. I believe it. I don't disbelieve what my parents have said about me. I just know that what God knows and how He loves me is perfect. It's not something I fully understand myself. Not even close. I don't even understand the first thing about how deeply God probably loves me, but maybe you feel that way a little bit from time to time. You feel His love. The more that, I don't know, I feel my inadequacies as a mortal human. I think that's more that kind of thing. Okay, what was my next train of thought? Yeah. So the way I grew up, and this is the way that most things are in public schools in the United States, whether or not I've talked about the United States more length or not before. The people that tend to be paid more attention to in most public high schools, junior highs, elementary school is a bit different, but guess who it is? It's not the people that should be paid attention to. Most of the time, the majority of the time, not so much. Now, we know that there are people that are kind of class clowny, that like Bill Murray. Bill Murray always had a good heart. You know, if there's one thing I know about the man, is that he actually has a good heart. His brother's the same way. Neither Murrays are jerks. Someone could say they are, but I don't believe it. They could be having a bad day, or they could be... any one of us could have a bad day. What I'm trying to say with this train of thought in general is that I've gone through some serious crap. Well, even if it wasn't something that's newsworthy or a supposedly big deal in my life, yes, I've gone through some stuff. I most definitely have. For some kids that are younger, in elementary school or younger, simply waking up from a nightmare is enough of a marathon or enough of an admirable thing, and they still have the wherewithal to, no, I mean, nightmares can be that intense. I mean, there are so many times when I wonder if we fully realize how hard some things are for people to go through. From 2 years old, 1 or 2 years old, all the way up to 90. I don't know what it's like to have cancer. what's like, I mean, I had a cousin who was a little older than I was that had cancer. He died of cancer when I was in high school. What how, I don't know, I don't have the first inkling, I don't have the first clue of what that's like. And I am completely the last person, and the very last person on the face of the earth that would ever feel remotely capable of evaluating my cousin's character. Heath Call was a better man than me. I don't know. That's my cousin. I don't know. I mean, I have these thoughts about many people. I'm not saying I'm a bad person. I'm just saying, I don't know. It's kind of like, yeah, I've been through a lot. So have you guys. We don't talk about these things as much as we should, because maybe talking about them is not a healthy thing. It's this whole idea of forgive and forget for like social things, right? But some things really ought to be talked about. Not just with psychologists and counselors, but actually more with people that care about us. We're not gossiping at this point. We're trying to bring peace to our souls. That's what's actually happening. We're not trying to hurt the other person. We're not trying to, gossip. The definition of gossip is when you're talking smack about somebody. Like, you felt wronged. You felt slighted. But more especially, you just have a bone to pick with that person for some weird reason, and it gets pretty vicious. But you do it in a way that's very underhanded. Go behind their back. You just want that person to suffer, and you want to laugh about it. That's gossiping. That's what gossiping is. Gossiping is not bringing up painful memories in the hopes that you can bring to other people, and other hopes that you can bring peace to yourself from just simply talking about it, and then coming to some kind of, I don't know how people, how does a person let something go? You hear that all the time, let it go. No. Really? How do you do that? How do you do that emotionally? These emotions, these things are very intangible. How do you take something intangible and make it tangible? Like letting it go. How do you do that? We go to church every Sunday. We hear people talk about psychology. This is the one thing that they don't explain. How do you do it? Well, some people would say, we just don't think about it. If you don't think about it, then it goes away. No. I think, this is what I think. I think we can let things go as we ourselves become more mature and other things become more important in our lives. If it's hard to let things go, or it's easy to kind of remember things that are painful if we ourselves are not going through a whole lot at the present. If there's not a lot of emotional things going on in our lives. So when we have some time where there's not really a whole lot going on, what's our brain going to do? What's our heart's going to do? If you guys are like myself, you're going to look at the past. You're not going to look at the present. It's because nothing much is going on at the present. Not as much as in the past. And about emotional nature, mind you, emotional nature. I think this should be sinking in a bit more at this point. So what I'm trying to say is, just acknowledge that you've been through some crap too, and if you really haven't been through all that much of a hard time in life, well, I don't know what to say to you, man. I think that's great. But, I don't understand life well enough to say that people that go through hardships are more mature people than people who don't go through hardships. I can't say that. I think life is very unfair. I think there's probably things about people I don't fully understand, and because they never told me about this or that or this or that. I'm an infant. We all are infants. This is part of the whole thing. There's a second truth I was going to mention is the first one, of course, was that there's a difference between ourselves. This is what I told Jim Carrey. There's like a fundamental difference between ourselves and what people say about us. That's why there's this idea of us not existing. Because how can we verify that we exist unless someone else says stuff about us? We can look at ourselves in the mirror, but we can't, you know what I mean? I don't know, we can't. And most importantly, we can't see inside of ourselves in a really tangible way. We just feel stuff. Someone can say, look, we get to get an x-ray and there's your heart, right? But we can't see our souls. Souls are invisible. Or maybe a whitish, like ghost thing. And when we die, I don't know. I know all that stuff. We talk about it in our church. Spirit world and ghosts and spirits, and they're a finer kind of matter, and yep. So again, what I told you, Carrie, is the difference between ourselves, what people say about us. We get that mixed up sometimes with this idea that we don't exist. We do exist. We exist because we feel. That's my philosophy. If we did not feel any emotions, we wouldn't exist. But because we feel emotions, that means that we do exist. Artificial intelligence, these robots, they don't feel emotion. They are programmed to say things. They are not sentient life. They are not self-aware life forms. They're just, everything's a program. We do not have the power to create life. We only have the power to create robots. I don't care if I piss off a lot of scientists in this regard. I don't care. We cannot create life. We need to have permission from God to do that. We can take eggs and sperm and we can make babies in our test tube, but that's not the same thing as actually, well, you know what that is. That's just, anyway, that's a different thing. That's not what I'm talking about. So this first, you know what the first truth is. We are different entirely than what people have said about us. The second truth is we have all gone through stuff. Even if we haven't told people, even if it's wherever, we've all gone through crap. You know, we've suffered. How can any of us live a life of no suffering? That's impossible. I don't believe it's true. If we've been through life of no suffering, we've been isolated from everybody else, and so that isolation has been our suffering. I don't care if you're smack dab in Orem, Utah, and you've had nothing but the most amazing people you've ever known in your entire life. It doesn't happen. I don't believe it. I don't believe that there's a person on earth that has never suffered. If we're not talking about little kids, we're talking about people over the age of 8 or 9 or 10. Somewhere in that ballpark. Okay. So the second truth is we've all suffered. And because we've all suffered, we should all feel compassion for each other. We should all try to listen to each other. But yet, what do? We don't. We don't listen. We judge. We put people down. We compare ourselves on Facebook. We compare ourselves on YouTube. What's the first thing that people do on YouTube when they watch my stuff, some of people, or who knows how many other channels? They're comparing themselves to that person. Why? What's the point? What's the point? We've all gone through crap. We're all people. We're all imperfect. We all came from the dust, and then from dust we'll return to the dust when we're dead. We all die. Why do people do this? Why do they waste their lives comparing themselves to other people? And I'm not talking about the people that are feeling really bad and sad and that are coming at this from more of a, they're just feeling sad about life and they're trying to help themselves feel better. I'm talking about the people that are mean-spirited about it. They're saying mean, very cruel things online. Why are you, if you go like that, or why are they wasting their time? Why are they wasting their lives doing that? It's just a matter of time before they realize that they've wasted their life doing that. They've killed their souls. When you act that way, you're just killing yourself. You're not. You might be hurting other people too, yeah. But ultimately, it's you that's hurt the most. That's the thing about sin. Sin always affects the sinner the most. It affects others negatively too, but it always affects the sinner the most. Always. So the third truth. Again, the first one, we're not the same thing as what people say we are. Second thing, we've all gone through crap. The third thing is, what I want to talk about is, it doesn't matter how smoking hot the woman or how amazingly handsome the guy is. If what that person that you're just head over heels in love with, if they say something you don't like, and you feel like it's beneath the character of somebody that you want to spend time with, I'm not saying write them off entirely. Maybe that's a little severe. It's up to you. What I'm trying to say with this third truth is that the character of a human being, in other words, the extent to which we really ought to be spending time with people, if we ourselves are of good character, we want to spend time with people that have good character ourselves. Right? Maybe it's different for some of you guys. Maybe some of you guys are more on the neutral, or I wouldn't say evil side. I don't think I have any people that subscribe to me that are describing themselves as evil. And if you're more neutrally aligned, using Dungeons and Dragons stuff. But if you value character and people that, to whatever extent, and people that you want to spend time with, just this third truth is the attractiveness of somebody, the physical attractiveness of somebody is just it's so often a completely unrelated matter to somebody's real character. It can be night and day different. Night and day. Depending also what you find physically attractive, but but it's, I say this truth, this unrelated thing. Physical attractiveness is unrelated to character. It can be related if you find that somebody's physical attractiveness is, they're more attractive if they have better character. If you look in their eyes, if you see the glow in their countenance, that's their face, but it's a spiritual kind of term that way. But the whole smoking hot bodies thing, the flawless face with no pimples, and all the other things that we associate with beauty with women. With guys, I suppose it's more nebulous, but having big muscles and being taller, and I don't know, having a Robert Redford type face, Denzel Washington, I don't know, not looking like a bowling ball, looking more like a nice stout log, or tough, whatever it is. And there's countless variations on from each person and what they think is beautiful, attractive of the opposite sex. It is completely different. It is completely different than moral character. So when I talk to somebody, and I'm like, whoa, wow, this person's, wow, so beautiful. One of the things I should be keeping in mind is until I really get to know that person on a deeper level, which, by the way, that can really only happen face to face. It's really, really hard. Really, really hard to do that online. You can try your best. I can try my best, but it's never going to be the same thing. It's just, it's like this mad scramble online, or it's this madness in life. The world is mad. The world's gone berserk. And it doesn't help that we have hormones sometimes. Albeit they drive us to want to have, hopefully it's be married and have kids, because that's the whole general idea. But I want to procreate, it's of course, but it's like, you marry a smoking hot woman and you find out she's a total bitch. Or a similar thing with your woman, you marry a guy you think is amazingly handsome and he's more than a jerk, he's evil. Or he's not who you thought he was. So you get divorced. You break up. It's more painful in some people's minds to never get married. To be married and then get divorced. If you're just together and then you break up, that's better, right? I don't know. Who's to say? This is intangible. Who's to say what kind of trauma people have been through? And I'm being brutally honest here about sex and about relationships. We don't have the slightest idea what some people have been through, or are going through, or will go through in the future, regarding all kinds of stuff in this arena. So who the heck are we? It's going back to that second idea about we've all been through crap, therefore we need to be compassionate to each other. So if the third one is, we can remember that physical attractiveness is different than character. We should be able to come out of any romantic issue we ever have with somebody with flying colors, right? Because it hurts the most when somebody is both amazingly attractive and they have really high moral character and they say something very hurtful. That's always, on some level, what hurts the most. The more that we value moral character, maybe we don't value moral character, maybe it's just physical attractiveness. Well, I don't know. In that case, keep living, until you realize maybe that it is a priority to know people that have better character. I don't know. All kinds of people, all kinds of, I don't know. So, okay. So these 3 points I'm making tonight, they're all true. They're all unmistakably true. They're incontestable. It doesn't matter what religion you go to. It doesn't matter which religion you belong to. There should be no doubt that these 3 things are 100% true. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're Jewish. I think it's great if you're Jewish, or Catholic, or Muslim, Buddhist, or Hindu, or Mormon. I don't care. I don't care if you're liberal or conservative. I don't care if you're black or white, or Asian or Hispanic, American Indian, Eskimo, Arab, Persian. It doesn't matter. These 3 things are true. Let me spell them out one more time. Number 1, we are not the same thing as what people have said to us our entire lives. Who we are as a person and what people have said are 2 different things. Second thing. Number 2, 2. Okay, that was the first one. This is the second thing. We've all been through painful stuff. We've all been through crap. Therefore, we should be compassionate to each other. And if we're not compassionate to each other, we need to change. We need to change. Period. We should always be about helping each other rather than hurting each other. Always. Always. The third thing is that physical attractiveness and moral character are two different things. They don't always equate with each other. If they do, and we're hurt by somebody who's both very moral and very beautiful, very handsome, maybe that person isn't quite as amazing as we thought they were. Or maybe there's something we can fix about ourselves, but maybe we shouldn't worry about it all that much. If we're trying to do our best. So this leads me, maybe this last point, this leads me to my last train of thought before I wrap this one up. Even if somebody is so amazingly righteous that you feel like they're angelic, even at that point, even if you feel like you were wronged, if I was wronged, right? There's still no getting around the fact that they don't know. They don't know. I know that my life, I know people haven't known things about me. I don't know. I didn't know things about them. I think I need to repeat this one more time. They didn't know things about me. I didn't know things about them. Even for the best people I've ever known, if they've ever hurt my feelings, if we ever had any issues, if they knew everything about me, everything, I do mean everything, I know things would have been different. They definitely would have been different, but I'm not saying things would have been exactly how I wanted things to go. I'm just saying things would have been different if they had good character. See, there's one thing to be very knowledgeable, know things about people, because that's how Satan is, that's how demons are. But Satan and demons don't want us to be happy, they want us to be miserable. So they are a perfect example of entities that know a heck of a lot about us, but they hate our guts with a passion. With a passion. They want us to be miserable like they are. I've mentioned this before in other videos, I'll say it again. This is true. So, God knows everything. He loves us perfectly. Satan knows a heck of a lot about us, and he hates our guts. Despises us. Despises, envies. No. It goes beyond envy and jealousy, covetousness. He hates anybody who's good with a passion, with a furious passion, because of the pain that comes from being as wicked as he is. Yeah. He's reminded all the time when any good person of what he didn't do, of his disobedience to God. And that brings him unending pain. This is the truth about Satan. It's incontestable. Okay, well, it's theological, so you can contest it all you want to, but it's still... Okay, so anyway. So people that are so amazing and supposedly righteous, when they, and we don't understand things fully, so we will make mistakes about people, and it will happen. And I'm just saying, it will happen. It doesn't matter how righteous we think somebody is. At some point, they're going to say or do something that reminds us that, oh, maybe not quite as amazing as we thought they were. In my own mind, I want to see people as being so amazing. I've always wanted to see people in the best light. I really have. But so often I've been disappointed by people. I don't know. It's going to take a lot of forgiveness on my part to really be as happy as I ought to be. Life seems to be this never-ending expectation that never seems to really come true for me in the way I'd like it to be. Maybe your life is different. Maybe you're more realistic about people. Maybe you expect everybody to be scum, and when most people turn out to be scum and only a few people are really great, maybe that's more therapeutic. Maybe it's nicer for you to go through in the way I am. But it probably still sucks that you have to go about life in that way. Either way, we both experience, again, it's the second truth, we both experience pain, whether we want to see people as being negative or not. So we ought to be compassionate to each other, and we ought to listen to each other. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I don't care if it's been hard to hear. I'm only interested in talking about things that are true and not things that are false. Unless it's talking about fantasy fiction is fine. That's a different matter. Okay. Talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.